Hi, this is another DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with Greenie. Hi, Greenie.
Hi, mate. How you doing? You all right?
So my first question is, what age did you get into drums, and what bands or artists inspired you?
So I started playing drums when I was 10 at school, just by pure accident, free drum lessons. And then I was on a practice pad for 6 months. I was taught and now looking back, a very good way. 6 months on a practice pad, started getting on a drum kit after that. And then when I was 12, it was kind of like, I don't know, 1995, and there was like either Oasis or lots of like rock greatest hits because it was all grunge. So all these 80s rockers were doing greatest hits and trying to reinvent themselves. So I kind of got into a bit of both. I was more into the rock side of things. So a lot of those 80s bands, there was like, I don't know, I remember Aerosmith had a greatest hits out. There was Def Leppard, there was Bon Jovi, there was all these like rock compilation albums as well, like on CD. So I just kind of got more into that. In Excess was another band I got into. So there was a few of them, and then obviously like everyone was into Oasis, so there was a little bit of that as well. But mainly the sort of 80s rock.
Excellent. And when you first started, what was your first drum kit?
Well, my first ever drum kit was it was a cassette tape box for a bass drum. It was a tin of Bisto gravy empty with coins in for the hi-hat. And you know one of those like things you put your hand in and it makes the nails. I don't know what they're
Oh,
called.
yeah, I always wanted one of those. I never got
Yeah.
one, but yeah.
I thought that sounded like a snare. So that was
Oh,
my
right.
first drum kit. So that's
Wow.
when I was like 12. And then my grandfather bought me a drum kit when I was 14. It was like I think it was called California. And whenever you hit the tom, the rack tom, it would spin around. So it was great.
Excellent. What color was it?
It was black, jet black.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, actually, have you still got it?
No, I part X'd it for a better one.
I think
I don't
that's
know how they took it in, but they
yeah.
did.
We all do, don't we? We all,
Yeah.
yeah, we get rid of our first ones, and actually, although generally they're kind of very basic kits, for me now, kind of wish I still had it, just
Yeah,
for nostalgia, more than anything else.
definitely. Me
Wouldn't ever
too.
use it.
Yeah. I think I got like 60 quid for mine. So
Yeah.
it wasn't worth much, so I may as well have kept it anyway, but at the time,
And what did you part exit for?
my, I think it was a I think it was an old Premiere or something. Yeah, that would have been like 1997, 98. Yeah. It was like a drum shop I used to hang out in that I ended up working in and stuff, so I'd always be there. So I think it was like an APK or something like that.
Okay, that's exactly what I did.
Was
Like
it?
the beginner kit, and then went to an
Yeah.
old Premiere. I can't.
Right.
I'm bad with the models. I can't remember APK, XPK, something like
Yeah.
that. With the
Yeah.
with the lugs that were really long.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one.
What a great kit that was. And what was the drum shop, incidentally?
It was called Newcastle Drum Centre.
Okay.
So just by the quayside, yeah, I did like work experience there and I ended up getting like a job there and worked there for a few years and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still there.
Is
Still
it?
exists. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know I haven't been in for years, but it's still there, yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, I'm really surprised. Yeah, because like I'm down south, and there's
Yeah.
the only shop anywhere near me that I know of around like the Kent area is Graham Russell Drums, which is like
Right.
Portsmouth. It's like a 2 hour drive. They're all
Yeah.
they're all disappearing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's a shame.
So talking about equipment, let's move on to what you currently use. So
Mhm.
talk us through your current gear setup. Your kit of choice, and like you can talk about sticks and cymbals, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so kit wise, I'm with Natal. I've been with Natal for 10 years now through the legend that is George Frederick. He's always been by my side and supported me through the years. And I've got a few kits. I've got a walnut Natal kit, which is amazing. It's like 24 by 16 bass drum, 13-inch rack, 16-inch floor. I've got a couple of snares. I've got a brass snare, 14 by 8, a maple snare, 14 by 8, and a couple of 14 by 6.5. Got quite a few different bits. And I've just got a a bigger kit now for because I'm drumming with Adamant at the minute, so I've got a big setup where it's like 22 kick, 12 rack, 16 floor, 18 floor, 20-inch gong drum. So that's fun, and a 14 by 6.5 snare.
Nice.
Cymbals wise, Zildjian. I've always been with Zildjian. Various depending on what gig, who the artist is, studio, whatever. I usually go for K's. I've got a couple of A's as well, just for the brighter sound. Sticks, I'm with Veta. I've been with Veta for a long time. Drumheads, Evans. Roland, I'm with them. Protection Racket. So all the usual companies really, but that's what I use. That's what I'm kind of endorsed with and stuff.
Excellent. Yeah. And I bet the bigger kit with the gong drum and stuff for the Adamant stuff, is that fun? Is that fun to play? Like that kind of drum intro, the famous drum intro. Is it? Yeah, it's called Ant Music. Am I right?
There's a few of them. Yeah, it's all that kind of like Burundi tribal drumming. So like Ant Music, Kings of the Wild Frontier. It's a lot of fun to play, and just like for your coordination, just moving around the kit, you stick to the script sort of, but you can experiment a bit, and especially when you start wanting to play the heavier parts with the big gong drum and the 2 floor toms and all that. It's a lot of fun to play. Yeah, there's a lot of it where it's not just playing a straight time beat. To get those Burundi, and then Yola, the other drummer, when we play together, and then a couple of guys at the front will have the floor tom. So when there's like 4 of us playing drums, it makes quite a noise for sure.
Ah, excellent. Now, there's a couple of questions here that are a bit tricky, and people have found these tough in the past. But that's the point, really. They're meant to be tricky questions. So the first one of those is, if you had to pick just one, who would be your favourite drummer of all time?
Yeah, that's very tricky. What day is it? What mood am I in?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's really easy to be cliche and say someone like John Bonham, who is like a huge influence. I don't know, like I honestly don't think I could pick one. I could probably pick like 4 or 5 for who've been such a big influence, because you've got people like Bonham, who's the rock guy, but then you've got people like Jeff Porcaro, who's the groove guy. People who I loved when I was a kid, like Alex Van Halen, just for the insanity and just the creativeness. People who I was into when I was a kid, like Tico Torres or Tommy Aldridge. So it just, I don't know, it would be in that neck of the woods, but I honestly could not pick a favorite. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind stumped. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't answer it either. I would do exactly what you've just done and pick like 5 and be like, all of them. Because, as I've said on these before, we draw from all those influences, don't we, to kind of make us sound like we do. So, a bit of Bonham, a bit of Porcaro, and kind of, and then you throw that all together and there you are as a drummer. Yeah,
and you go back down the chain of like, well, what I did, who did they listen to? So I'd listen to someone like Alex Van Halen, and then someone would mention, oh, well, he's blatantly influenced by Ginger Baker, and you'd be like, oh, what's this? And then you'd listen to Cream and Ginger Baker, then you'd start listening to like jazz drummers and just keep going down, which is the amazing thing about music. It never ends. So it's impossible. But today, let's say Alex Van Halen.
Nice. There we go. Oh, we got one. Yes.
Got one. Today. That's the one.
What's been the highlight of your career so far?
Again, there's been a few, but I don't know. I mean, there's a few that stand out, like real moments, like the first time I toured America. That was a real moment because it was like we were a new band out there. There was a band I was in called Little Comets. And they licensed this label in America licensed an album that had already been out in the UK, and we were just doing like club shows and stuff. But it really started to kind of happen for us. A lot of radio started to happen. So you're doing these tiny club shows to like 400, 500 cap people, but it was blown up. It was just the crowds and the response were amazing. And then we were doing like main stage Governor's Ball Festival in New York, and it was just moments like that when you think kind of, you've worked so hard and you've done the toilet tour for years in the UK and Europe and stuff. But to tour the US and sell the whole thing out was incredible. So that was a big one. Just like moving from Newcastle to London and getting those breaks and getting recognised and getting sessions and joining bands and getting headhunted, things like that. So again, not one I could really pinpoint, but just moments where you were like, wow, this really is a big step up sort of thing. So
have you ever had anything go wrong on stage that you've had to recover from?
yeah, lots. I was telling someone recently. Yeah, I was telling someone recently about I was in a band that had just been signed and we were doing okay, but again we were still playing like sort of club shows, and we had a guy who wasn't really a tech, was kind of like just someone we knew, but he was doing sort of guitars and drums and everything, and I'd shared my kit with a support band, and they did the changeover. I got on stage, but our first song, all the lights would be out, and it would be like, just sneak behind the kit kind of thing. But it started on the toms, and you just play this kind of like rumble sort of beat, and after about a minute and a half, it would kick in with the cymbals and everything like that. But what we did with our lighting guy was we kind of fade the lights up as it sort of crescendo, it was building, it was going somewhere. So I'm playing away and we're kicking in and the lights are coming up, and then I'm like, I haven't got any cymbals or hi-hats on my kit. And the tech had just, obviously not really his fault, inexperience, whatever, he wasn't really a drum tech. So he hadn't put them on. And I just, in my head, I'm like, I'm playing along to a click, but I'm like, how many seconds is this before I do this big crash in sort of thing? So I'm trying to get his attention. Luckily, he got one cymbal on in time for this thing to kick off. But just this fear when you have those moments of like, I've got nothing on this apart from toms and snare and kick drum. So that was a good one. I always remember that one. But generally just things breaking, lots of tech things, electronics, and losing your click track and your in-ears and things like that. That still happens every now and then.
Yeah, it happens to all of us. What you say, that fear when something like that happens, you can't really replicate that. Like, it's just this awful, I don't know how you describe it. It's just this awful feeling. It's like when you're driving halfway there and you think, I've left my stool at home or whatever. Yeah. Like, you're like, yeah. What? Or I've left the base of the throne at home. Yeah, you can't you can't replicate that fear.
No, it's like once you're in. Once that song starts and everybody's watching, and because it was a small sort of show as well, you can see everyone in the audience. I'm like, okay, this could go either one way or the other here, but we got the cymbal up and then we got another one up and we were good. So no one probably noticed anything. They probably thought it was part of it. So
yeah, exactly. You just style it out.
Exactly.
So you've played with a number of artists in your time. When you first get a gig with a new artist, how do you learn the songs? So obviously there's many ways of learning, but just as a couple of ideas, do you ever like write stuff down in drum music or in words, or do people send you loads of drum music? Like here's the book with all of the songs written out, and learn it by the dots. How does it normally work for you?
It's a bit of a mixture of both. I've never really been sent music, but with the Adamant stuff, I learned that from YouTube videos. So like, I need to say thank you to some super fans out there because they film all the gigs, and you're just like, okay, I'll learn that. So I like to do it by ear mainly, and just in my brain and take it in. But I'll in the beginning I'll chart stuff. And then there might be like a little bit of notation on there if it's like certain fills, or if it's a repetitive fill, or even a varied fill, or whatever, a variation on the same thing. Sometimes just for ease, I might score it out, but on the same sheet as well, just the chart and then whatever, bit of notation. And then I'll try and get rid of that, because you know how it is, everything just if you get like a set list or whatever, it's just one big song. Once I've kind of differentiated each song and each part, I'll try and get rid of the notes and then just do it by brain. And again, that could be in the beginning stages. I do a lot of running, so I might just go out on a run and have a playlist on and just try and work it out in my head, what goes where, the coordination mentally, and then get in the shed, start dissecting it. But it's mainly through listening and through working it out in the head. I don't really like to have any charts or sheets at any gigs. And even by the time I get to rehearse or do pre-production with an artist, that I want to enjoy it. So,
Mm.
and I think you've always got to leave a bit of room for what you've learned and what they may want to change, or something that's been changed since the version you've learned or whatever. So I think you've always got to have like maybe 10-15% sort of left in the hard drive to take that information in. And that can be the same if there's like backing vocals as well. I always try and nail as much as I can. So be ready for that rehearsal or pre-production, but also like enjoy it. Not being apologetic when you're playing, kind of being on top of it and being like behind it. That's what I try and aim for. It's not always the case, obviously, but you might get thrown in without a rehearsal to a gig. But that's my way of doing it, really.
I love that. That's really cool to hear, and kind of refreshing to hear, because obviously I teach a lot and I have a lot of readers, and those readers get to a point where they are just, if the music's not there, like the sheet music's not there, they can't do it.
Right.
And it's really good for people to hear, like in the real world, from
Hmm.
someone that's not me, that yeah, and the reading is useful and being able to try it out and stuff, but then you put that
Yeah.
to one side. And what
Yeah.
you said about then like being able to enjoy it more, I think that's really
Hmm.
important, because when you're not reading it off the page, you
Yeah.
can kind of immerse yourself in the song more.
Totally. And you've got to have that communication as well with other musicians, and kind of, and if it's one gig or a tour or a campaign or whatever, to start to gel. I've done that with charts where it's been impossible, and I've had to do charts where it's been like, you need to do this gig tomorrow. But as you know, you can find yourself looking so much, and you're not, you for me personally, I sometimes don't feel I'm present with it. I'm sort of just like playing where I'm not like in it, sort of thing. So, but
Yeah.
that's my personal
Mm.
preference and opinion, of course.
No, that's great. Excellent. So moving away from drums for a couple of questions here. You mentioned something else that you do a minute ago, but what are
Yeah.
your hobbies away from drumming?
Um, well, I have a family and a little 2-year-old, so that's a hobby life. So that takes a lot of time up. And then for me personally, I mean, I do a lot, like I say, I do a lot of running, try and keep fit. Now I'm getting a bit older, even trying a bit of yoga recently, being a drummer, and like, in your 40s, so you've got to keep up with it. Um, Cinema, I like a lot of cinema. Not that I get time to go, so I'm into movies and things like that, and especially touring. Um, to be honest, when I'm not gigging and touring and playing, I'm usually with my family and being a dad. That's
Yeah.
kind of like, because I can be away for a lot of time and a lot of, for I'm about to go away for 9 weeks soon, so it's like when I'm back home, I'm full time. But when I'm away, yeah, like, I love traveling. So if I'm on holiday, or if I am touring, I really make an effort to kind of learn about where I am. I'm really into history and things like that. So, but yeah, but my Instagram is just dad drums. That's
Yeah.
all it is, really. So
Excellent. Yeah. No, I can fully relate with a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old.
yeah,
But can
yeah,
fully relate.
it's full on.
Now, the next one is the most anticipated question of this interview series, and
Yeah.
it still sometimes keeps people on their toes that haven't watched any of them. So you might be expecting it. We'll see. What is your favourite biscuit?
It's nearly as hard as the drummer question. Um, I've been eating, what are they called? Those at the minute, those French biscuits. What they called? They're like, I should know the name of this, but I just see them in the supermarket and I buy them. They've got like dark chocolate on the top and biscuit on the bottom, but they've got quite a big crunch.
I know exactly what you mean.
Thick chocolate, looks like a picture frame.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I
Yeah, is
can't.
it Le Bits or something? What are they called, man? I
Let's
should
do a
know
good.
this.
Let's bring
Yeah,
out Google.
yeah.
French biscuit.
I'm sure it's
Oh, it
Le
came to me then. Chocolate on top.
yeah.
Well, there's a couple of options.
Okay.
Is it the Choco I can't say it. Leibniz.
Yes, the blue one on the right.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I thought
the
thought you were
dark
meaning.
chocolate version of that.
There we go.
That's the one.
I
Yeah, and
think.
everywhere sells them. I've noticed them too.
Mm.
Like they've got their own versions around the world, but they're everywhere. So they are very good because you get a lot of chocolate and you get a lot of biscuit. So and they
And there's a
don't.
few different versions. So there's some with like pictures on them as well, apparently.
Mhm.
So they look a bit like a postage stamp, some of them.
Yeah,
You said about a picture frame.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, not bad. So with that biscuit,
Hmm.
would you dunk it?
100%. Usually have like one or two without just to get the full flavor, and
Yeah.
then start dunk away.
Right,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Okay, so you're not scared of the dunk, right?
Not because it's a strong biscuit. That's one of its attractive features.
Oh, brilliant. That might be just there, the little clip I use on Instagram.
Go for it, man.
So, on to my final question then, back to
Yeah,
being serious and talking about drums rather than biscuits.
yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, so when you started out playing drums, what would that be?
Be patient and keep going. And
Nice.
if the younger me was around now, put your phone down and get in the shed and do your paradiddles.
Excellent. Yes, I like it. Very good.
Because it's a distraction. So it must be
Oh,
so hard now to learn drums. I do a bit of teaching every now and then, I see it. I think it must be very difficult. In our day, it was just like the only distraction was TV and books and stuff. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
it's a distraction as well, I think, with as much as it can be great, social media and YouTube and all that, and you watch someone playing and you're like, how are they doing that? That's like,
Yeah,
I could never do that. And some people are like, well, what's the point? I'm going to give up because I can't do
yeah,
that. And we would have had that with watching videos of, you know, some of the greats.
yeah.
Um, but it's always in your face when you've got your phone all the time and you're scrolling and there's all this drum
Hmm.
stuff coming up and also quite a lot, slightly negative, I think, of me here, but like quite a lot of stuff that maybe isn't real drumming, stuff that
Hmm.
might be great on social media.
Yeah,
But you got that gig and then you were like, here you go, guys, and you played that. They'd be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
next
yeah.
person.
Yeah, it's going the wrong sort of path. I think sometimes I got lessons with Steve White,
Mm,
and it wasn't even like when I was a kid. It was when I was a bit older, and we were talking about that and saying there's so much distraction, and it's obviously everything's so disposable now that you'll watch one YouTube video and you'll be like, where do I go from that? And I remember him always saying to me like, there's a Bible of drum books. Just don't look at that for a bit and study this. And it was all the books that everybody studied, like Stick Control, Joe Morello, all that sort of stuff. George Lawrence Stone, and that was a great piece of advice because sometimes you're like, even as an adult, you can go online and be intimidated. You
mm,
can, and it's known that like sort of sticking to what you're good at and finding your voice and your style and your path really. But when there's so much out there, and like you say, some of it potentially for the wrong reasons to look visual or whatever, it can take you away and you can lose who you are. I think so. Yeah,
mm.
definitely.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad we've ended with that because that's good advice, I think. Nice
Yeah,
one.
definitely.
Well, Greenie, thanks so much for doing a DrumWise Meets with us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.